Hi. So today I'm going to wind up the module on metadata with some design and implementation issues I'll be discussing. And this would kind of give us an overview of the entire metadata for a data warehouse. And this is a very complicated kind of a piece in the overall metadata or in the overall data warehousing architecture. So let me begin. And this has been mainly taken from chapter 4 the Kimball's book. So metadata, so basically integration. So it is about integration of metadata, and that is the main challenge in metadata management. So basically what happens is that in a data warehouse, so you have, for data warehousing, you have acquired tools or built tools which have come from multiple vendors, and they have their own ways of collecting metadata. So integrating metadata is the major challenge in data warehousing. So metadata integration. So let me talk about metadata integration. So most tools and processes in a data warehouse create and manage their own metadata and keep it in a local physical storage location called a repository. And there are several metadata repositories scattered around the data warehouse system using different storage types from relational tables to XML files to documents to spreadsheets. So this we have seen already when we were discussing metadata, types of metadata, right? So that creates a lot of problems, and moreover there are overlapping content in the data warehouse in these metadata. So single integrated repository for data warehouse system metadata is highly desirable and useful, and we try to kind of do impact analysis using that, so which helps in identify the impact of making a change to the data warehouse system, audit and documentation. So you basically try to do the lineage analysis, so what is the source of the data, what kind of transformations it has gone through, and so on and so forth. And we also have metadata quality and management, because multiple copies of metadata go out of sync. So there is a need to synchronize them from time to time. So these are integration related things that we need to address. So we have multiple options, and we are also going to talk about some standards that have been proposed, but unfortunately they have not been supported by many vendors. So still it remains a challenge. So most data warehouse systems are based on products from multiple vendors. So this is a common situation, as I told you in the beginning of the lecture also. Standard called Common Warehouse Meta Model, CWM, along with XMI, which is an XML-based metadata interchange standard, and the Meta Object Facility, MOF, and the underlying storage facility of metadata object facility is the underlying storage facility of CWM. So these standards are developed and managed by Object Management Group, that is OMG, and vendor support for working with the standard metadata repository is slow in coming. And unlike that, a single standard repository will emerge in a multi-vendor environment. So that is what we foresee, that still, because of multiple vendors and standards being not supported very well by vendors, so seeing a single standard repository emerging in near future looks unlikely. And other option that we have is that doing it yourself, like if you want to build your own metadata solution, so that is not in-house basically, so that is not worth the effort. So what other things we can do? So we can plan our things in such a way. So we are going to look at some options here. So single source data warehouse BI system vendors. So this could be one solution, that you try to take or buy tools or acquire tools from a single vendor, and it gives you an end-to-end solution. So multiple database, ERP and BI tool vendors are building complete credible data warehousing system technology stacks to offer end-to-end BI. And as they build or rebuild their products, they are including metadata management as part of their tool sets and designing their tools to share central metadata repository. So in this scenario, a vendor will have no excuse for avoiding a single repository. And this so far is the best hope for a complete metadata solution. Now, the other aspect is core vendor product. So if you are in a large organization, there will be multiple vendors in your data warehouse BI system. Some ETL and BI tool vendors are working hard to become the metadata repository supplier by offering metadata management and repository tools that interface with their tools and also with other vendor tools. So this is another option that we have. So if your core vendors are not offering any such solutions, then there are metadata management systems that comply with the standard CWM and offer a central metadata repository and modules that can read and write from and to most of the major DWBI vendor metadata repositories. So these are like basically two options here. One is that the core vendor has a metadata solution which can interface with other tools and collect metadata from them. And in the absence of such a solution, there are metadata management systems that comply with CWM and offer a central repository, metadata repository. So both these options are available, and one can explore these options when they are trying to build a metadata solution. Do it yourself. So here it is not unreasonable. Like earlier I said that doing it yourself is not worth the time and the effort. So not unreasonable to pick certain metadata elements to manage and let rest manage itself. And here we try to focus mainly on the business metadata, because technical metadata has to be correct or the system breaks down. As an architect of a DWBI system, you need to ensure that technical metadata is right and no one is responsible for business metadata. So we already understand, we already looked at what business metadata contains and what kind of users it benefits, right? So if you have to do it yourself, then you have to basically focus on the business metadata. And now let me just quickly summarize, and this summary has basically been taken from the Paul Raj Punia textbook that we are using. So metadata is basically an amorphous subject if you focus on each little parcel of metadata, because it is spread wide in the data warehouse. Few unifying principles that we can follow. Inventory all your metadata to know what all we have. Subject your metadata to standard software library practices like version control, version migration, and reliable backup and recovery. And document your metadata properly. So this becomes metadata. So right, and appreciate the value of your metadata assets. So basically what we are trying to say is that we need to know what metadata we are collecting, and we must appreciate that we we have so much of metadata, and properly managing your metadata is also very, very critical. So version control, version migration, and backup and recovery should techniques should be used for all your metadata. So basically the best bet in terms of metadata solution is that that there are vendors which provide end-to-end BI solution, data warehousing / BI solutions, and they have a metadata solution, central metadata repository, which complies with the standards that are emerging. So with that, I end this module on metadata. and this is module number 8. So the next module will be on relational databases and what kind of support relational databases are offering in terms of data warehousing, and also SQL extensions for data warehousing. Thank you.